Hey guys, it is April from Getting Huggy with It. Today I am here to do part one of my November book haul. I've got some really good ones here. I'm so excited. So let's get into it. The first book that I picked up is The Secret Daughter of the Tsar. Now, this was a cover buy. I'm going to be perfectly honest, this cover just drew me right in. And it's an interesting storyline. It follows three women and three totally different time periods. We follow Veronica, Lena, and Charlotte. So Veronica is an aspiring historian, and she lives in LA, and she meets this man who might be the heir to the Russian throne. And so she starts to investigate his background. I think that must lead her to Lena, who is a servant in the Imperial Russian court of 1902, and she's approached by Empress Alexandra. After she's had her 4 daughters, she really wants to have a son so that the line can be continued, essentially. And she thinks that Lena can help her somehow. We also follow Charlotte, who is a former ballerina living in World War II era occupied Paris. She gets this visit from a German officer and she needs to protect her son. So she gets out of Paris and she learns that the officer has an interest in her because of his long-standing obsession with the fate of the Russian monarchy. So somehow, miraculously, all of those 3 storylines interweave. I don't know how they do, but I'm very intrigued. So yes, The Secret Daughter of the Tsar. I also picked up The Watchmaker of Filigree Street by Natasha Pulley. Now, when I picked this up at a library sale, the librarian who sold it to me said, "Oh my gosh, that's a really good one." So that's always encouraging when the librarian gets excited. And this is about Daniel Stapleton, who in 1883, he goes back to his flat and he finds this gold pocket watch on his pillow. And then that watch saves his life later when a huge blast destroys Scotland Yard. And so because of that, he goes on a search for its maker, and that leads him to Kita Mori, who is a really nice but very lonely Japanese immigrant. And then somehow we're also following Grace Caro, who sneaks into the Oxford Library, basically desperate to prove the existence of the luminiferous ether before her mother can force her to marry. I don't know how they all interweave, but I was super intrigued by that little blurb, and as soon as that librarian said, "Yes, you must," I knew that I had to. I also love the cover of this. It's got one of those little cutouts, and then the edges are green. I'm super excited about this one. I also picked up The Language of Flowers by Vanessa Diefenbach. And I've heard really great things about this, and so many people have blurbed this on the back. I'm talking Jamie Ford, Tatiana DeRosnay, Paula McLean, like so many people have loved this book, and this follows a young woman who has gone in and out of the foster care system her entire life, and she becomes a florist. She's always had this really impressive experience with flowers, and she's got this talent. But I think as she goes into that line of work, she's also kind of working through her own life and what she's been missing in her life as a foster care kid. But it sounds really great, and I've heard wonderful things about The Language of Flowers, so I picked that one up. I also picked up Song Yet Sung by James McBride. I am very eager to read this one. I sadly got a copy that's a tiny bit bent. Even though it's hardcover, it's got this like curve to it, which I didn't realize until after I bought it, but that's okay. This is set in March 1850, and it takes place just before the Civil War, and there is this great slave outbreak in the swamps of Maryland's eastern shore. We follow Liz Spockett, who is this beautiful runaway slave. She's been shot. She's very close to death. She's on the run and meeting all sorts of really interesting people along the way. I also picked up Circling the Sun by Paula McLean. Now, Paula McLean also wrote Paris Wife, and she's most well known for that, I think. And here we follow a female aviator and a love triangle that she finds herself in with a safari hunter named Dennis Finch Hayton. I think I'm going to hate him already. And then also Karen Blixen, who actually wrote Out of Africa. I don't know much more than that, but I have only heard good things about this book, so I knew I had to pick it up. Guys, I was so excited when I saw this at a Value Village for practically nothing. It is Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeleine Thien. Thien? I want to say Tien. Now, this book is Canadian. It's won the Giller. It was shortlisted for the Man Booker. I have been meaning to read this for so long, and I finally found this. This follows 10-year-old Marie and her mother. They invite this young woman into their home in 1990 in Vancouver, and this young girl has fled China after the aftermath of the Tiananmen massacre. And slowly but surely she starts to open up about what happened. We find out what happened to her and also what happened to her entire family during the Mao regime, which I've read other books about the Mao regime, and oh my god, it was horrifying what happened. It's just horrifying. I think out of all of the books that I picked up, this is the one I am most excited about. And it's a bit of a chunker. It's like 400 and something pages, but I know I'm gonna love every second of it. I also picked up Let the Right One In. Oh gosh, I knew I needed this. I have watched the movie, but I think I watched the American version anyway, so it's probably much different. But this is about a little boy who meets a little girl, and the little girl is a vampire. That's all you need to know, really. They meet, they form a friendship. I'm really eager to read this one. Really good for like Halloween time. Yeah. I also picked up A Stranger in the House by Sherry Lapina. She is the author of The Couple Next Door. And this is actually a book club pick for the Dying to Read book club for 2018. So that's super exciting. This is about a woman who gets this phone call, and it's a phone call she's never wanted to get, and she goes racing out the door. She finds herself in a dark, deserted building, and then she loses her memory. Everything goes blank after that. So she goes to the hospital, and they've told her husband that she was in this really bad car accident. Now, the police are starting to suspect her. They wonder why she was going through a really bad part of town at such high speeds. Her husband obviously is coming to her defense, but she doesn't know what to make of it herself. She doesn't know what actually happened. So it sounds like fun and just a stranger in the house. Like, is that stranger herself? Is it her husband? Who is it? I think it's going to be fun. Finally, I picked up The Orphan's Tale. This is about 16-year-old Noah, who's been cast out because she got pregnant by a Nazi officer and she had to give up her baby. She lives above a small rail station, and then she discovers a boxcar with dozens of Jewish infants who are bound for a concentration camp. First of all, can you imagine finding that? I'm going to cry just thinking about that scenario. You know that they're going there to die. You know, she's just lost her own child, and she's looking at all of these infants, and she decides that she's going to take one of the babies, and she runs away into the snowy night. And then she goes to a German circus, and she finds refuge there. I don't know how that happens, but I am so eager to read this. I also really love this cover, and I love World War II fiction, so this is going to make me feel all the feels. I can already feel myself crying just thinking about all of this. So yes. So those are the books that I've picked up so far in November. I will definitely be doing another video about more books that I'll pick up, because I've got a couple on my shelves over there that I've picked up recently, and I know that I'll be picking up more throughout the month. So, but those are the ones I picked up. Let me know, have you read any of those? And let me know what you thought of them. I would love to know, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye guys!